Aloha and welcome to the PUNAtic Punk Rock Podcast. I am your host and captain, and I've used that captain a number of times. What's another title?
I've always known you as captain, as you know, you've always been the uh, one of the three captains of our pirate crew.
We have many captains. We take rotating shifts.
Yes, it's important.
I mean, if one person's captain all the time, then
That's how mutinies happen.
yeah. With me, we have first mate Hotep. Hotep?
Potek.
Potek. Okay.
Potek Rising.
Okay.
Usually one of the strongmans of the group.
Oh, is that short for Potemkin?
You in a way,
Hmm.
in a way. Uh, so the way I actually got my name was I used to be Potemkin. And when I was watching a lot of streamers, one of the streamers I watched, he never actually knew could read my name, so he just started calling me Potek. And I'm like, you know what? I like that, and I've rolled with it ever since.
All right. Well, that's usually how the best nicknames start.
hmm It was great.
All right. Well, today's topic was a topic I was gonna do, but my recording van and it sucked ass. We were surrounded by homeless people, and then we were on the road, and everything was rattling. It was a terrible recording.
I mean, you could have always invited one of the homeless people to ramble on here. That would have got interesting real quick.
Yeah, that would have. We were just watching this guy dress and undress for 30 minutes. It was very weird.
You could have asked him why.
Could have.
I don't think you want to know that answer.
I think I know the answer, and I don't like it.
Meth.
Yeah.
Meth everywhere.
Anyway,
Uh,
tonight's topic is going to be talking about the Menehune.
oh, something I haven't thought about in a while.
Little people who live in the forest, kind of like Bigfoot, but small and in Hawaii.
Yep. Tricksters.
Yeah,
Our little Hawaiian tricksters that basically turn invisible.
they turn invisible. I haven't heard that one. I heard they turn to stone.
I've
I
seen them I've heard stories of them disappearing is what it was.
mm, I think that's yeah part of the myth too. There's a lot of different conflicting abilities they have. No one could really agree what they do and what they are.
I mean, as all with most, I don't want to call them a superstition, but you know,
Oh, after tonight, after we're done, you'll know everything you need to know about Menehune, and you feel confident in whatever you call them after that.
sweet.
But yeah, most people know them as like tricksters, like Hawaii's leprechauns that live in the forests and deep valleys. Um,
Basically, yeah. That's what I know them as.
yeah, how would you describe them? Their looks? I mean, that we have kind of some mascots, the Menehune water and stuff like that.
Yeah, the way that they're usually depicted are very tiny, kind of chubby people, usually in grass skirts and a tiki mask.
Yeah,
So
usually,
that's the way I usually would see it. More like a beer belly, like a pot belly kind of thing,
yeah, usually given a shaka too.
usually.
But yeah, a lot of them have pot bellies, and but it, other descriptions of them as they're fucking jacked.
I was about to say the same thing. I've seen that. I've seen a lot of those same depictions as well. They're just like ripped, abbed up, like I guess another depiction I know of them as is like tiny warriors
Hmm.
in a sense, because they always have like spears and some in some of them as well.
Yeah. Well, the reason they could easily be seen as jacked up is because they're great builders. Uh,
Ah,
in fact, number of constructions on every island, but very much on Kauai. are contributed straight to the Menehune by the Hawaiians.
Huh.
They have the Menehune fish pond on Kauai, the yeah Ale Koko fish pond. Uh, that's on a bend of the river, and but it's a construction technique unlike any most in Hawaii that aren't attributed to Menehune.
I mean, the only real way to do that is the work of magic.
Yeah, sure. That's what that's what someone wants you to believe.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah, but there's other other constructions besides the fish ponds. There's Heiau that are said to just be built by Menehune. There's structures on Nihoa and Necker Island in the Northwest Hawaiian Islands that are said to be attributed to the Menehune.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they have like these rock terraces where there's obviously a few generations of people lived there.
Like the stacked rock towers.
Yeah,
Uh,
and so even these, you know how small these tiny islands up there are? Like no bigger than Richardson's, I would think.
yeah, I mean, some of the smaller islands are like not even what are they, like a quarter of our island? And
Oh, way smaller than a quarter, like fucking a hundredth, a thousandth.
I mean, yeah, they're, it probably takes like not like half an hour to drive around the island. It's pretty crazy.
Half hour to walk around the island.
That's a small island.
That is a small island, yes. And there's again evidence of a few generations of people living there. Not long-term habitation because they could not sustain themselves, but there was an attempt of colonization. And the construction methods there are different from the rest of the Hawaiian Islands and more like the ones the Menehune are said to have built.
I know that I've actually heard some stories that of a few of our buildings on our island is actually built from Menehune is like more towards Kona side though.
That would make sense too. Now, uh, they're said to have built like heiaus on every island,
Yeah.
uh, but like the big concentration is in Kauai and beyond.
Isn't that more like Sacred Land? What is the other one that I'm also thinking of? It's more known. It's like only Hawaiians are actually allowed over there. With
Niihau,
Niihau, that's the one.
yeah, Niihau.
It's been a while since I've studied up on these.
Yeah, only Hawaiians there, and uh, the way they talk will come into the story later too. The people on Niihau, because
Oh,
they speak Hawaiian, but a very distinct dialect of
see,
Hawaiian.
that's something I didn't know.
Yeah, it all contributes to answering the mystery of the Menehune.
Really?
Yeah,
So are they like ancestors or like taught by the Menehune?
we'll get to that. We'll start unraveling the mystery. We'll like not many of the myths are to them building, and they're like master builders. They'd build structures overnight. Uh, but if someone were to watch them, they would stop working and walk away or just disappear.
I picture the Amish pretty much.
Kind of working at night, only
Yeah.
at night. And if
And
anybody
and
watches them, they disappear.
yep.
Uh, but also be said they're kind of obnoxious with their partying. Their partying could be said to be heard from islands away.
Much like my family. I've
uh,
always said my family, we've always been known as the loudest on the block. So,
might have some Menehune in
oh, for sure.
you.
Especially with how I know my family, they're definitely I'm gonna say delinquents or uh tricksters. They have much more fun.
uh, well, here, let's play a song. This song is from a local band called Brown Flower from Oahu. The song is called The Gnome.
Almost perfect.
Almost perfect. I know. I have a few that are perfect, but the songs aren't as good.
On three, two, one.
And that was The Gnome by Brown Flower off the album Brown Flowers.
Nice. That was sick.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
fun.
Definitely. I did have a little hard time hearing a lot of more of the kind of more muffled parts, but it was enjoyable still.
Well, yeah, metal will do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're listening to like I don't know, Iron Maiden or something like that. Most metal is can't hear a word.
I'm trying. You showed me a band a while ago. It was some glam metal that I really enjoyed. It was back when I lived in Johnny's house though.
Yeah, no, they're. I think that was
Had
some
like player
Nintendo Core band or something. They got 8-bit elements or something.
kind of there one of the songs you showed me was like an anime music video.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was really good.
yeah. I posted that on my Facebook, and the band contacted me.
Sick. Did you ever talk more with them?
No, no, I don't talk with anybody.
Uh, you never know. You could have gotten some pretty interesting new friends.
Probably.
Just end up joining the band.
Yeah, so Menahunas, I swear there's like Menahunas around the area where when I was growing up because there was this epidemic of in the night, uh there'd be people who would steal water tanks. Just one night there'd be a water tank, and in the morning it'd be gone.
I could also explain that with the same reason why that guy was, you know, constantly just putting on and off his clothes.
Ah, smoking the batu?
Way too much. I'm sure there's a few of them who probably do that.
Oh, no doubt. Like
Yeah.
I could explain a number of these Menehune stories with just some crackhead in the bushes.
What if that's actually what like old Menehune stories are, is just some meth head and they're just like
Somehow they got meth before contact. It's just been in the bushes this
right? And
whole
they're just
time.
the only ones who knew.
Hmm.
What if that's just the story they told?
That's just Menehune, man. I swear, I have no idea. Yeah, there's also what is it? A rash of people stealing uh building materials, like full kind of like IKEA houses. There were a few in our neighborhood that had come like mostly put together already.
Yeah, definitely crackheads. I mean, how else are they
Steal
gonna get
all
their own
those completely. Yeah, all those would be gone
overnight?
overnight.
There's just a whole like community of them. They're just like I said, the Amish just rip down structures in no time. Take building materials just one by one, just disappear. You'll just find them all down Kalapana somewhere.
Oh, definitely. I actually do have a song specifically for this. It's called Batu Boga Rush.
I'm down.
Band's called Kahi Lua Koluha.
All right, I got it.
The album is called Menehune Laughter.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's perfect. And this is definitely some crackhead music. All right,
All right. Ready?
I'm ready.
If this isn't hippie meth rock, I don't know what is.
This is Batu Burger Rush. Rash. Batu Burger Rash. Off the album
Uh,
Menehune Laughter, which has, I think, one of the best. covers is just the Menehune water guy giving the shaka, but
Hmm.
like with a chrome filter on top of a chrome filter on top of a chrome filter on top of a
Oh
chrome
God.
filter, where
So
it's
he's just insanely
absolutely
shiny.
disgusting.
That sounds awful.
It is. It makes them very unique.
So is their music.
Yeah.
Somewhat unique. Again, I've heard at least some sort of rendition of that.
Yeah. Well, that's a an example of power violence.
Power violence.
I have a whole podcast dedicated to what is power violence, and I had a whole another podcast dedicated to power violence in Hawaii.
How do you find these things?
I like to explore.
Fair, fair. I mean, most of my musical taste comes from like exploring music with you and Johnny. So,
It is a world of music. There's worlds of music.
worlds, yes. There's more music than I will ever be able to listen to
Yep.
or want to.
I,
I love music, but that can't be the only thing I do.
I could
Uh,
definitely try though.
yeah, that's definitely your passion.
So yeah, the Menehune.
Menehune.
Yeah, they would completely stop working if people saw them, or they heard like dogs or owls or chickens. I don't think they'd like Kokies very much.
How do they work in night with Kokies? That is a lot of noise
I
for
don't
them.
know. Or maybe they just like me tune it out completely.
Maybe they party harder than the Kokies.
Maybe they are the Kokies.
Maybe they are the Kokies. Maybe that's what all the noise is.
Is them partying
And they're
going?
so tiny, it's all just sounds like squeaks.
Yeah, maybe the small people. They meant really small.
Really small. This
uh
makes sense.
okay, well let's put out of our mind a lot of the magical elements of Menehune. Let's go. What if there were a race of like small people that lived on the islands? Because
There,
obviously somebody built these structures that the Hawaiians won't take credit for. Uh, they are built differently, and there are theories of multiple migrations to Hawaii.
okay. Well then, honestly, what it sounds like to me is that they're just short, drunk Hawaiians. That's also very shy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I could see that too. I mean, a lot of early people who came exploring described Hawaiians as big, tall, and muscular, and were always shocked when they saw a short Hawaiian.
so maybe that's what they are. I
Uh,
mean, let me ask, do you like having people watch you work?
this is a very good point.
Like, if somebody's just like hovering over your shoulder, just staring at you the whole time, you feel a little bit more pressured. It'll feel a little bit more awkward trying to do your thing.
I don't know. Sometimes the stories would make it seem like really awkward for them not to look because they're just making so much racket. And it's like, don't look. And the guy pokes a hole through the wall, and the Menehune notice and put down all their tools and walk away.
Just take home the tools. I mean, there's your proof right there, right? Would be in the tools. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the story of Maui, like how he's like, "Oh, don't look, I'm pulling up the islands."
That's true. Yeah, I haven't made that connection. Maybe the act of looking ruins the magic.
Maybe that's where the power comes from, is being able to work in solitude.
Hmm.
It's like trusting your lead, you know. You may not know exactly what he's doing or why he's doing, but you still need to trust that he's gonna get you to the right spot. And usually that does happen. Usually.
Let's see. Okay, yeah. Yeah, somebody built these. There are many different theories. One was is a weird one. There's a number of weird theories actually. One theory is that these Menehune are actually castaway Japanese or someone from East Asia that
I
casts
can see
away in
that.
storms, hiding in the bushes, being very industrious and all, but hidden away, much smaller than the rest of the islanders.
I just want to believe this now, honestly. I mean, you think about it, who are some of the best woodworkers in the world? I mean,
Uh-huh.
the Japanese, who are also very shy and small. And I mean, like the Japanese islanders are dark.
Yeah, it's definitely depending on where in Japan.
That's why I said like more towards the coast. Like a lot of the islands that are off the coast of Japan are the are very dark. I don't know if necessarily that they consider themselves Japanese or in that same sense, like
Well, I know the Okinawans and off the Ryukyu Islands,
right,
they have like a mixed thing of a lot of them don't want to be called Japanese.
they're Okinawan.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I mean,
And
they're
they're tropical complexion. They're darker than normal Japanese.
so I could see that being true too. And a big Hawaiian looking at a tiny Japanese man would probably scare them off as well. Or become best of friends. I mean, that is how a lot of our culture comes to today.
Mm. There is another theory. Have you ever heard of is it Homo floresiensis?
What?
It's a race of humans like Neanderthal or Homo erectus or
Hmm.
but it's one they found on the island of Florensis in Indonesia, and
Okay.
they've been nicknamed the Hobbit people.
Oh, so they're just like basically like half-sized Neanderthals?
Kinda, yeah, but they're more like Homo erectus, but I don't expect you to. They're more humanish.
Okay. No, I understand the difference between the two.
Yeah,
Um, I've kind of I'm not gonna say read into it, but I've like
I expect you to
seen
know Homo sapien and
things.
Neanderthal, and that's about it.
No, I know I'm not again not gonna act like an expert or anything, but I definitely know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a small race of humans that have been found on this little island. Um, but that's a little island in Indonesia, and it's only been found there until I think it was
Oh,
2008, 2012 or something, between that area. They found another group of really small dwarf people on Palau.
oh really?
Yeah. And these archaeological bones are so hard to come by as is. Uh,
Yeah.
Finding like a group of any species of human is rare.
Yeah.
So it's
Uh,
hard to make out the distribution of how, like, where these small people actually were.
Maybe they're just honestly, they I wouldn't be surprised if there actually was like a smaller race
Mhm.
that ended up like either breeding out or genes got mixed into the gene pool too much or possibly went extinct.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised too, because like on islands, the term called island dwarfism.
Hmm.
Well, because of lack of resources, bigger animals would become smaller animals. Uh, we could say like, yeah, there was a race of since somehow they got to Palau, a seafaring species that made it to Hawaii, uh, became dwarf people and lived in the forest after the migration of the Polynesians.
Could totally see that.
Because like some myths have it like these. buildings were already here when the Hawaiians arrived.
What if all of Menehune is like some Hawaiian drew a caricature of a Hawaiian warrior, and then that was just how it all started.
Just a little. I drew a small man. I made a story about him.
Hmm. And it just became popularized.
Well, you'll be surprised how close that parallels certain events later on in the story.
That's hilarious. I'm
Let's see.
excited to see where this goes.
Let's see. Some of the big scholars of Hawaiian history, Abraham Fernander, recorded saying that Menehune was the ancient name of Polynesians, or that the Menehune were a numerous and powerful race from whom the present race of Hawaiians are descended.
Again, I can see that.
Yeah, these are all plausible theories of what uh, if there is a small race of people or a race of people called the Menehune that aren't Hawaiian that lived on the island because somebody built these structures that are attributed to the Menehune. Uh, it could be these people that came before the Hawaiians if they were there.
Yeah, if they were, it very much could. I could see so many different things that the Menehune could be
Maybe it's
at
all
this
of them at
point,
once.
right?
Little Japanese men, little people from like little race of humans, maybe a race like the people before the Hawaiians arrived that aren't small.
Yeah. I
Maybe they're
mean,
just short Hawaiian, which honestly I think is the most likely theory, just straight up.
I I think about a lot of being out here on the mainland,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of really big people.
Yeah,
Like I look up to, I'm like, oh, you are a giant, and there's a ton of them. So to me, I mean, a small human is definitely plausible. I mean, what if they're actually just, uh, a dwarf, you know?
yeah. Actually, that's also an idea for the Homo florenziensis, is that these aren't actual different species of human. It's just a community of dwarfs
Yeah, they
that
have dwarfism.
uh but the studies aren't in. But I got another great song for you. This is from the band Gravity Kong.
Okay. Oh, it's a longer one.
The song is called Creature of Habit.
I like it.
Uh, so if you got them, smoke 'em now. Is some stoner metal.
I could take a dab.
If you couldn't guess by the name Gravity Kong.
Oh yeah.
All
I'll
right,
do it while we're listening.
shoots. All right, give me a countdown.
Ready? Three, two, one.
It's 600 bucks. If you want to bring me 600 bucks cash, other than that, I really don't want you guys here. I want you to move out. I'm sick of dealing with you guys. All the parties, the drugs, the trash. I mean, it's just ridiculous up there.
And that was Gravity Kong with Creature of Habit
That was
under.
good.
I fucking love stoner metal, and they're from Wahoo. Fucking awesome.
That was so enjoyable.
Okay, well, the next part of the story, I don't think you're gonna enjoy.
Oh,
So, what if I told you Menehune were entirely made up by Westerners?
also plausible. Totally see that happening. Honestly.
Because before 1861, there was no record of the Menehune anywhere. This is 50 years after the original contact and people talking and writing down stories and understanding the language. And Menehune don't have a direct translation in Hawaiian.
Huh. Yeah, I'm just really bringing it back to that whole like caricature thing
Mm-hmm.
where it's like an over exaggeration of what a Hawaiian person would look like or a Hawaiian warrior in a sense
She's
or
just
even like a
small and
mocking.
like kind of fairy dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah. As the first stories of Menehune appeared in a Hawaiian language newspaper, the Star of the Pacific, or Kohoku Oka Pakipaka.
Uh-huh.
I'm a try.
I'm not good at it either, man.
But the translator for that, William DeWitt Alexander, kind of played fast and loose with the translations. Uh, to make it more, to build like bridges in the Western mind of what the ideas were. And so at the time, do you know who Hans Christian Andersen is?
No, I don't.
He kind of invented like the Feywilds and the Fey people, fairies and stuff. Asia probably know who Hans Christian Andersen is. Uh, and it's kind of like Lord of the Rings or something today, where people would know the caricatures and everything. Of and so he was trying to compare. Seems like the stories and the news to like small dwarfish people and Hans Christian Andersen stories as like short, expert, muscular crafts people. And then other people ran with that and and made it more grandiose and magical. Uh, one of the guy, Thomas G. Thuram, gave him a lot of the magical fey creature, trickster, disappear, turn people to stone. Um,
Yeah, the more and more I'm listening, the more and more I'm certain that this is just an over exaggeration of like I said, the Hawaiian people, and because as for the buildings, I mean it's not like nobody's other recording equipment back then
mhm.
where and there's not. I mean, people lie all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
uh, but this Thrum guy, he wrote so much about the Menehune and like he called himself the father of Menehune.
huh.
Uh,
I can see that.
and then the biggest contributor to the Menehune uh, is a guy named William Hyde Rice, or the Honorable, with quotation marks, but that's his title, William Hyde Rice, who was born a Protestant missionary on Oahu. Two Protestant missionaries on Oahu. And Hawaiian was his first language.
Oh,
He honestly really fascinated with Hawaiian myth and the languages and the folk tales and would record a lot of it. Uh, he was, a missionary son, so he owned a plantation on Kauai.
hmm
where his family eventually became the biggest landowners on the island. He served the kingdom's House of Representatives. Um, and then in 1887, he and a bunch of other wealthy sugarmen uh, held up King Kalakaua at gunpoint to sign the Bayonet Constitution.
No shit.
Yeah, he was one of those men. Uh, After
Okay.
that, he became governor of Kauai under Queen Liliuokalani, and then helped put her under house arrest, and was one of the main people who got his childhood friend, Stanford B. Dole, as new president of the Republic of Hawaii,
Hmm.
and annexation, and helped. He was, one of those people. But a lot of like I want to say 90, like 70, 60% of all our myths of Menehune come from this guy directly.
So it really is just a. I'm not gonna say that I'm like disappointed, but that really does surprise me. Like, in a way,
Well, this guy's life though is so fascinating. Like, and honestly, uh,
honorable.
yeah, well, that was his governor title. As governor of Kauai, he was called under the kingdom. He was called the Honorable. But yeah, it's ironic, is what it is. We'll get back to that. Let's play this song. Uh, let's play a song called 1893
I'm almost afraid of this.
from a band called Kuka Ilimoku.
All right.
And no one would blame you for being afraid of this.
Uh,
1893, for those who don't know, is the year of the overthrow. That was Kuka Ilimoku with uh, 1893.
you can almost feel the tear. That guy's got a one hell of a metal voice.
Oh yeah, he does. Dude, he has a few albums out and oh man.
I don't know what to think on that one. The song actually was enjoyable. Uh, that the song was really enjoyable itself. The year it represent was not.
No, but it's again, this guy's life is so fascinating. He's like Hawaiian is his first language. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, many Hawaiians today can't say that.
true.
And
Very
it's
true.
Kuka Ilimoku or Who the Land Grabber or
That comes
Snatcher
with,
of Islands.
I was gonna say that comes with bad connotation.
Yeah. Well, let's dig into this more. Let's see, because Menehune is not a Hawaiian word apparently, but there are other words. I mean, and Fornander, he's like really scholarly when it comes to his like study of Hawaiian history and the oral myths. And he even wrote down Menehune. Uh, so if we look around, there's a lot of myths in Hawaii talk about Kahiki.
Kahiki.
Yeah, Kahiki. Which if you know like anything about Polynesian languages, you just switch the T's and K's to understand the difference between Tahitian and Hawaiian, and it easily
Oh,
becomes Tahiti.
okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. uh, and if you look at like Tahitian language, there is a word called Manahune,
Hmm.
and that they are well, it used to be the word for commoner, but then the people of Tahiti were conquered by the people of Raiatea, and Manahune became the name of the lower class, the losers, those used for labor and human sacrifice.
You think you think the person who or I should say the creator of Menehune had learned uh that language at some point?
I think the word Menehune uh, was a word that they came across and added their own spin to it.
Yeah.
Uh, I think our understanding of Manahune and Menehune, uh, I don't know, honestly, now that I think about it, because there was a lot of interaction like between whalers and shippers between Tahiti and Hawaii. Uh,
Honestly, it does sound like they're a description of the lower class. I mean, they're
mhm.
workers, but they stop working if they're watched. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like a description of lower class citizens. Um,
And we do know of two two very different migrations to Hawaii. The first being from the Marquesas Islands, uh, and then the second group from Tahiti with the priest Pa'o, P-A Okina E-O.
oh,
He's like really big in Hawaiian mythology and understanding of Hawaiian ideology. He's like a philosopher, priest, warlord. He's a very interesting figure, but he is a Tahitian who came and basically spread his religion of Ku and of human sacrifice to Ku and blood ties, certain kind of blood ties. I'm just gonna go with human sacrifice. That's what's known. I'm not gonna say anything more about anything else because it's all speculation, and I don't want to offend nobody.
I mean, human sacrifice is very popularized by many religions. So,
Yeah, but human sacrifice in Hawaii is all attributed to Pa'o and the second migration from Tahiti. They were said to drive the original inhabitants from the Marquesas out, uh, and genocide them, basically, kick them out of the islands and to their last refuges in Kauai and Necker Island and Nohea,
With them being
Lahore.
extinct, somebody had definitely got out and told that story.
Yeah. Well, it's miscarried it out through the ages, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
Storytelling is a very important skill because it's how you determine power. It's why Hawaiians have such long names. Is so it's a list of where your mana comes from.
You know, our D&D campaign is definitely making a lot more sense now.
Oh yeah, in our D&D campaign, I asked everybody if they were religious. And those who said yes, I told them make them have long names. The longer the name, the closer to God.
We got some long names, but nothing of what you've thrown out at us. Like, wow.
The defender of the realms and those who have great tastes and sultan of imbibement and shit like yeah, no, I threw out long ones.
When you said, throw in titles, I mean, I wasn't thinking plural.
No, you made a very long title.
Yeah, I thought I did pretty good, and then I heard your bartender's name, and I'm like, damn, my person ain't holy as shit.
You're all level one. You'll gain titles.
Just continuously tack on to the end of my name. I have a pretty good idea on like my town too, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so that is one theory that Menehune are actually what the Tahitians would call the people they conquered, as happened in Tahiti. Was the people that were conquered were called the Menehune, Monahune, and in Hawaii it was turned in the Menehune, and the people they conquered, the people from the Marquesas Islands, would be
Mhm.
called Menehune, and would chase the Menehune into the deep forests and basically off the islands entirely. And that's why their building structure is different because they are a different people.
So their teaching and understanding of physics would come from a completely different source and style of building.
Not a completely different because it was different, but not completely different. Like I don't think the ideas of they might be Japanese building style. I don't think works at all because it is not a Japanese building style in any way. Not
I
even
mean,
ancient Japanese building style. It's a different kind of stonework, yes, but it's not Japanese.
yeah, they're very. I find a lot of Japanese works in like squares and triangles. Honestly, everything, even from what I've seen from like older work, they usually end up carving out some sort of wedge or like post like work into their wood or into their whatever structure they are, and then they interlock it.
Yeah. Oh, those are really fancy ones. I love those. I
Yes,
love watching
but
those little clips on my Facebook.
I do love them. The things that we learn on from short videos.
Hmm. All right, here's another song. Uh, this is from a local band from Hilo, from Puna. This is Howley Rot with Conquistadors from Hell.
Liliuokalani wrote in her diary, "Time may wear off the feeling of injury, but my dear flag, the Hawaiian flag, that a strange flag should wave over it. May heaven look down on these missionaries and punish them for their deeds."
And that was Conquistadors from Hell from Howley Rot off the album. Are you British?
That was an awesome song though. Like I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
They're
But
from here or from home, huh?
yeah, I know they at least a few of their band members used to work at Rosette's.
Oh, really? Wow. That's pretty awesome though.
Yeah, a lot of band members worked at Rosette's.
That's
Uh,
funny. Pretty big nursery, honestly.
yeah, it's one of the few places that will hire about anybody.
Makes sense.
So this theory is basically the most popular one nowadays, especially since big historian Abraham Fernander, he said that Menehune was the name of like Hawaiians before the Hawaiians. He also noted that Monahune was the name of the laboring classes of Tahiti.
Okay.
So, what do you think of this theory?
To me, it sounds pretty true to me, honestly, and I can see that. I really can. I can see the language coming from uh like the Tahitian language. I can see it being a depiction of the lower class on and him being or it being popularized in like in a newspaper. Because I mean, it could just eventually it was probably just adopted into like the Hawaiian language or culture, and in a way ended up switching around the meaning.
Yeah. Uh, and yeah, maybe it wasn't like small people, but just of lower status, which was
Yeah,
translated to small, and then trying to translate it into the Western mind gave it like this fey, leprechaunish element.
I could absolutely like I believe that. I'm now like sticking to this idea of this being either or a depiction of a lower class
Well,
Pacific Islander. I'm not gonna say Hawaiians in general, but
mm,
Pacific Islander.
but what about the theory that they were specifically the the Marquesas Islanders who were here before the Tahitians?
And I could believe that as well, which is in a reason why I kind of group them in that same sense because I mean there's got to be some sort of uh migration from there to there if they're being banished, kept
Hmm.
off the islands. They're gonna end up somewhere.
Well, you're very smart, and you didn't jump to any conclusions. Your conclusion was a Polynesian Islander somewhere. I'm not going to say which where. It's very smart to do that because I'm going to poke holes in the theory that it was people from the Marquesas that the Menehune are.
Okay.
Uh, First hole is like the dialect that's now in not Naalehu,
Um,
Niihau.
yeah.
The dialect in Niihau is very much like the dialect of Tahitians, with the T's and K's switched. And in fact, Kauai itself, for a long time, used to have that same kind of dialect where the T's and K's would be switched.
Okay.
And now, if you'd think like if Kauai, Necker Island, and so on were like the last refugees of the people from the Marquesas, why would only there the Tahitian dialect be and not with the rest of the islands who were conquered by the Tahitians?
Right.
It,
Because
it
in reality, the rest of the islands would actually have um
the Tahitian dialect, and Kauai would have the other dialect.
Right.
It should be switched if this theory were the case. Also, the buildings that are said to be built by the Menehune, again, they don't match anything in Hawaii, but what they do match is islands in Tahiti.
See, that's where I was thinking is
And
that rather than the Marquesans, it would be some a Tahitian migration in a sense, or adaptation into our islands.
well,
That's where my head was at before Marquesian, honestly. Although
well, yeah, because literally the translation from Menehune is the lower classes of Tahiti.
yeah,
It's the
okay,
laborers of Tahiti. It's already in the meaning.
exactly. And honest,
And oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say honestly that alone was enough for me to be convinced. The fact that the translation was already there. That's how
Well,
languages work.
I'm going to give you a lot more reasons to believe that they are indeed just the lower classes of Tahiti
hmm
on Hawaii, because 90% of the myths about where uh, the Menehune come from go like this. Well, our chief went back to our homeland, Kahiki, and brought back Menehune to
Wow.
work. Uh, that's the story on Kauai. Uh, he made several voyages back and forth to Tahiti and brought back Menehune. Uh, there are stories on the Big Island that Paoa himself brought Menehune to work, uh, build He'eau. The stories on Oahu about a sorcerer who stretched out his hands to the furthest bounds of Kahiki and brought them as on a bridge came the Menehune people, which is, our chief went back to Kahiki and brought back Menehune.
So they are Tahitians.
They literally Tahitian laborers.
Yeah.
Uh, there's myths on Oahu that they weren't very much liked and they were chased off. There's so my theory is that there was a lot of connect. There was particularly a lot of laborers brought to Kauai, so much so that the languages integrated. Their T's didn't become K's like the rest of the islands. Uh, and a lot of the buildings are literally Menehune buildings. And in 1980s, there was a census on Kauai, and 65 people listed their nationality as Menehune.
Because that's what they're known as. That's what they were called.
That's probably honestly what they were too.
Yeah, really. Like that's probably and what they were as they were known,
Mm-hmm.
Menehune. So in order to be described as
What nationality are you? Well, I'm Menehune.
Menehune makes sense.
And yeah, I think there there is one more story about the Menehune queen who because she was upset with how much the Menehune and the Hawaiians were intermarrying and and diluting the bloodlines of each other, uh, gathered as many Menehune off the islands to return back to their homeland. And those who didn't go were attacked and stones were thrown at them. And I think this is where the myth of being turned to stone came from.
Oh, they got stoned. They were
Yeah,
thrown stoned at. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. And when they were watched, they would stop working? Huh, I wonder why.
Yeah.
A lot of like seeing eyes, especially if they were hated upon, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, I could see why they would drop their tools and be like, I'm not doing this.
And again, the last places that they were known to Kauai legends were the tiny islands of Nihoa and Necker Island, or was it Moku Mana Mana? Yeah, that's the name.
What does that translate to?
Oh God, I don't know.
You don't have to. I was just
I'll do it. I learned it the other day. Yes, I know it's Necker Island. Branched Island.
Branched Island?
Yeah, that's what it directly translates to, apparently.
Huh. It's probably a lot of trees.
Nope, none at all.
Or it's branched off of something.
It looks like a branch, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Really thin and not much land besides rock.
It's a little depressing.
It is. As the last, they are chased to these tiny islands, and I don't think they survived.
Isn't that how most of America works though?
Yeah, chase them to lands that they can't live off of and die.
That's honestly what I know of.
Anyway, here's a song to uplift our moods. This song's called War with Menehune
Also
by
doesn't sound good.
Halaiva off the album. Let's see if I get this right. Ka mo'o uha hane o ka ili ili ka halaiva.
Uh-huh.
Ka mo'uhana o ka ili ili i ka halaiva. Nailed it. First try.
Perfect. I understood it 100%.
And people
Ready?
listening, I'm not gonna give you like a playlist. You just gotta have to remember that. Write it down. Write down what I said.
I mean, there's always a replay button. Remember this section, just go back to it.
Yep, 15 seconds reverse.
There you go.
And that was War with the Menehune by Hala
That
Eva
was intense.
with the album Ka mo uhana o ka ili ili I ka Hala Eva Part 1. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
And that is the end of our story. That's the end of my wild ride of research of is it real, is it not, where the fuck did it come from? Let's go.
That was pretty interesting. I actually learned a lot, and I have a completely different idea of what Menehune is from when I first started.
Yeah, very interesting. Like honestly, I like Menehune now today as kind of a modern myth of Hawaii because it really is a modern myth. It's not an ancient Hawaiian myth of the
Yeah,
Menehune. Those were just
absolutely.
actual laborers. The Menehune we know now are a modern myth of which is still kind of cool. I like it still.
I actually really like what we know the Menehune as. Are little playful trickster leprechauns, basically.
Hmm. But it's also good to know that this history and that like if you could like untangle the knots of the history and understand it, it's very rich.
I love learning these kinds of things. There's a there used to be this person that I used to watch that's in a sense very similar. It's called Down the Rabbit Hole by Frederick Knudsen. I don't know. I butchered that for sure, but he's done quite a few of those, and honestly, every time I listen or watch into those, it going down the rabbit hole is just so fun.
Well, this has been fun. I'm glad to have you along to go down the rabbit hole with me.
Glad to be here. It's been fun. It really has been.
All right. And we're going to end it now, and I'm going to get ready for to guide you guys through a world of terror.
Yeah, it's we've definitely got a ride to go through.
All right. Good night, everybody. Till next
Good
time.
night.
Aloha.
Aloha.